I feel like I'm bantered out. I don't think I have anything useful or fun to say.
That's okay. Yeah, it's been a week. I don't know if you follow Apple news like at all, but did you see the colors for the new iPhone came out?
No.
Okay, so there's new. I'm gonna send them to you because it's kind of why. I mean, it's very silly. It's a silly thing to care about.
Are they terrible?
It's just not Apple-ish. So here, I just sent you. Those are the colors of the new Apple Pro. The regular iPhone line is like not too far out of but that's the lineup for the colors for the Pro.
I like the cosmic orange.
It's just kind of wild. I sent them to my friend who's also in like the design comms
Mhm.
space, and she goes, "It makes me feel like I'm doing a house renovation or something." And she said it as like, "These are colors that I'm painting my house." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's just Lowe's and Home Depot."
That is pretty
So
true, huh?
yeah, yeah.
It is those
So
Home Depot colors.
Lowe's and Home Depot colors. So that's my nonsense bit for the week is
Wow,
the
that's pretty
iPhone
good. That's
colors
clever.
are yeah, the internet is upset that there's no black. And I'm like, "Really? That's what you're upset about, that there's not a black iPhone? Come on."
I feel like there should always be black. Like it's just kind of like the universal color of a phone. Like it's go. Yeah, I don't know, but I I I feel like people always put a case on it, and the
That's what
case is whatever
yeah.
color you want. So does the phone color really that matter that much?
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Stratus Sphere podcast. My name is Owen Phillips. I'm the marketing director for Stratus Services, joined today by only our CEO, Joshua Rabe. We're going to do some overview once again of some CMMC updates, but they're actual updates this time around. So we're going to talk about CMMC, what things have happened in the news recently. And then we're also going to talk about kind of we touched on this in the past, and I guess you could call it a little bit of like the ethics of, but basically, if you have an MSP and you are also looking at getting CMMC compliance check marked, is that going to be enough to just work with your current MSP, or are you going to need to seek more help? Is that a good synopsis of where we're going to take this?
I think that's maybe a topic that we can touch on, but I think the bigger arching thing or something that we've seen is companies coming in and selling a service that is a partial implementation of CMMC and then walking away. And it's like knowing if you're comparing apples to apples when you're looking at a quote and knowing what to choose and how to get there and helping people walk through and understand that. So I think that's kind of like the maybe the more detailed version of it. But yeah, I think that's kind of like what we'll dig into, and then kind of what we're seeing from a lot of companies. Work with a lot of engineering firms. The primes on a lot of these projects are sending out to their subs some information to tell them to get started on this process, and it's kind of muddying the water. So maybe we touch on that a little
Gotcha.
bit too.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start then with the news updates. We have dates. We have dates for things that are actually happening. So do you want
We
to give
do.
the rundown for that?
Yeah, usually Joel's here to get into
I
like
know.
the nitty-gritty, so it's like left up to me, but essentially it's live, and so the actual go live date is November 10th.
Yes.
So starting November 10th, it's up to the contractor's discretion on if they want to put CMMC level 1, level 2 requirements in the contract. So if a contract is going to contain FCI and they want to say you need CMMC level 1 for that, they can put that in there. If it has CUI, which means it needs level 2, they can put a CMMC level 2 requirement in there starting on the 10th of November. And then for the 12 months after that, it's kind of at their discretion if they want to put it in or not. Kind of the expectation is over the next 12 months after that, we'll see it in more and more contracts. And then 2026, November 10th, 2026, it's live. It's going to be in the contracts going forward. So
Gotcha. Now, I want to follow up on that because I was talking with Liam about that. Liam is one of our engineers. He stated that as of the 10th of this year, November 10th of this year, that CMMC level 1 will be a requirement in contracts, and then 2 in 12 months, and then 3 in 24 months.
That could be the case. I
Okay.
wasn't aware of that. So
Okay. We
I think
will.
it's at discretion, but maybe
Okay.
Joel's job to know the answer to that
Yeah,
question.
we'll follow up if there are specific notes of dates that are musts. We'll put them in the show notes that way you can have. But the take home here is November 10th is the big date. Things will start appearing in contracts, and then in 12 months, specifically for level 2, we know will be requirements in contracts November 10th,
Yeah.
2026. Hi, it's Owen from the editing booth. We checked with our engineers, and the following information is the most valid. Starting the 10th of November of this year, 2025, all CMMC levels can be put into contracts if the contracting officer chooses to. However, if the contract contains FCI, they are required to put level 1 requirements. Starting the 10th of November this year as well, CMMC level 2 self assessments are now required. C3PAO assessments, where you would have to sit down and have an audit for CMMC level 2, will not be required until next year, November 10, 2026. However, if the contractor chooses to, they can put it into their contract. CMMC level 3 will be required November 10, 2027. So at any rate, it's a big update. We've been, again, this is not the bubble that I live in, right? I just get the little pings from you guys. And I know that it's been the hurry up and wait game since we've been talking about CMMC. Now there's no more waiting. It is happening. There is a
It's
timeline and
happening.
it is being implemented. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and so I guess maybe to jump on one of the points we had is like, so we've seen a lot of these primes reach out to their subs and tell them you need to submit a Spurs score
Okay.
and have your SSP in place and say you're working on that. And maybe they're even saying you need to have a level 1 certification before we award you any jobs. And
Okay.
which is kind of confusing because essentially the Spurs score is the old way of doing things. We still need to do that as part of CMMC, but it's more encompassing getting full CMMC certification. And
Gotcha.
it's confused some of the subs to thinking I only need a level 1 cert because the prime that's all the prime's asking them to do. But the prime's asking them to do that so they get started on the process and start doing something, and the contract that they are working on doesn't actually require CMC level 2 at this point.
For sure.
It's not in there, but they're telling them to go get a level 1 if they wanna keep working with them. That
Gotcha.
way, they are doing something. But I think what this has led to is some confusion in organizations thinking they only need a level 1 and then they're good. That's not actually the case. They actually don't need anything from CMMC, from the DoD is not requiring anything from them, but their prime is putting that on them. But
Gotcha.
they still will need to get a level 2 cert at some point in the future
Yeah. Because
after that November 10th.
we've had people reach out to us and ask about, like, hey, can I get a level 1 now in preparation for having a level 2 at some point in the future, as though it is like a stair step model or something similar. But my understanding based on talking to you guys is that, like, those are two completely different things. Like, it can help you maybe understand a little bit of the mindset of what it means to become compliant, but they are not the same ballpark when it comes to what you actually have to implement, correct?
Yeah, so, like, the level 1 is a very small subset of the 110 controls, and you can it's a self-assessment, so you can get that done. But if you know you need level 2, then you might as well just start going for level 2. Otherwise, you're
For
doing
sure.
this work for level 1, which is kind of like, I'm gonna write 70% of my report and not put all of my references in there, and then I
For
have to go
sure.
back and redo the report and put it in when it would have been easier just to do it all correct from the beginning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And I think that's where we've been steering people. Like, we came up with the idea of doing like a CMMC 1 plus package that, basically means you are doing way more than is required for level 1, but it really does get you prepped for level 2. Because
Yeah.
once again, just doing the bare minimum of level one really isn't going to quote unquote prepare you for level two at all.
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing is maybe having a gap analysis done so you really truly
Oh, okay.
understand where you're at. Like then the discussion about scoping, I know Joel brings it up all the time. That's because really scoping is it's the most important thing. The more you can put out of scope, the less work you have to do to get there. But understanding what it means to put something out of scope and the implications of doing that. Can I do an enclave, physical enclave, virtual? Do I need to do the whole enterprise? Figuring those things out can help, and because there's significant cost implications for these different pieces.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Well, I think that is a pretty good overview of what is going on today, what people might need to start thinking about. I mean, today, I was going to say tomorrow, but they really should be thinking about it right now because
Yeah,
it's coming down. So,
yeah.
okay. Well, beautiful. Well, Josh, would you like to kick off kind of the next segment here of what you were thinking about of kind of scenario planning for people doing this type of outreach?
Yeah. So I guess I've seen sort of this trend, and it's I guess it's not so much a trend. It's these companies that are coming out to us after they've worked with a reputable company, a company that we respect the work they do, to get ready for CMMC. And but they're leaving with the understanding that they have everything they need, and now they just need to call an auditor and they're good to go. They're not realizing that they bought a package to have like an enclave set up.
Hmm.
And then they did that and they gave some documentation about that enclave and how it's set up. And they walk away.
Gotcha.
Here's a package you bought. We did the work. And now you take it and finish it.
For sure, and
But they're leaving.
it's compliant, and then
Right.
yeah,
Right. And maybe in some cases, they're also buying a subset of services for continued maintenance on it, like maybe vulnerability and patch management, for example.
gotcha.
But there's so much more involved in it, and these companies are left not knowing what to do, and then not knowing how to talk with the auditor, or having a solution that doesn't do everything they thought it would. So, we've bid on deals and we've lost out because someone said, well, this company's doing it for half the cost. And then come to find out, they come back like, hey, we actually need to finish this. We only have part of it done.
For
And
sure.
it's so it's like since it's such a confusing kind of new thing for people, understanding what you're buying is kind of important. And yeah, so if you I guess that's kind of maybe the intro to it. I'll let you ask some questions.
Yeah, so this I kind of am seeing it from two perspectives when we, kind of throw this bubble of support out. The one side is like, I don't want to say that people are being negligent, kinda like the Redditor that we were talking about last week, they got handed by some higher up, "Hey, we want to do CMMC. Can we make this happen in 2 weeks? Because we know that, one of our potential clients or one of our current clients needs this." And it's that not necessarily understanding the full bucket of what is required to implement that as a business. But then the other side of things where maybe the person asking the IT service provider, "Hey, this is what we need to happen. Can you make this happen?" And they kind of smile and nod, and then they are not understanding the depth of that. Is that a
Well,
reasonable assumption or like reasonable buckets?
yeah, I think you can put it in like maybe two categories. You need to do your due diligence on who you're hiring. Is
For
it an
sure.
RPO? Do they have CCPs? Do they have CCAs? Do they know? Have they invested the money to be in the CMC market, AB marketplace? If they have, then they probably know what they're doing. So you need to do your due diligence on that. And then the second piece of it is if you have your own internal IT or you have a third party IT company that is doing the work, and now you're just going to an RPO and saying, I need an enclave setup that meets CMC requirements. We don't know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, then you probably don't have the IT team to take it all the way to the finish line.
Yes.
So, or you do, and they're just overworked and they don't have time to do it. So they just need someone to do this piece. Like, we can do it, we just don't have time, so we paying you to forklift it and then take it from there. But just understanding that you are paying for just one thing to be done. Like, a virtual enclave getting set up is not compliance.
Yes.
Compliance is continued weekly, monthly, quarterly maintenance, checklists, logs, all of that ready to share
Yeah.
and show to an auditor.
Well, and yeah, there you go, and that's the point that I was just going to bring up is, and then once you put all of that together, having the know-how to basically sit with you through the audit process, and I mean, for lack of better, hold your hand, because I mean, you kind
Mhm.
of want that in this scenario. You want the person who is well versed in, because I mean, average, let's say engineering company that have not gone through this kind of audit before and don't necessarily know what is about to happen to them when they go to sit down in the room. So having someone who has done that before, like you do want that curated support, because you're dealing with a lot of time and money. And, at the end of the day, if you go through all of that effort and then you get the stamp of disapproval, like that's not a good time.
Right. Yeah, I think, like, when you go through an audit, like what we try to say is, I want to walk an organization through from the start to finish, because I think it leads to a bad reputation. Might lead it to a bunch of initial sales, like, "Hey, I'm gonna charge you $15,000 to set up your enclave," and then walk away. And I'm able to really quickly and cheaply stand all these up, hand over a pre-written set of documentation where I just change the company name, give it to you, and now I've captured all of this revenue. But now this company is going looking to go get audited, and now they kind of have a bad taste in their mouth because they feel like they got more than they feel like they deserve more than what they got.
Mhm.
And I don't think anybody's being malicious necessarily in this. But I do think that the people paying for it aren't truly understanding what they're buying.
Yeah. And so I listen to too many podcasts. That is a part of my personality. And I frequently hear about, like, hey, Vanta's going to help you. Sorry, I don't know if Vanta's good, bad, or otherwise. Again, I just hear about them on podcasts. Vanta will make your compliance a breeze, and ISO 171, like, you're just going to put a thumbs up and then everything's going to be great. And you can smile and move on with your day. Here are
Mhm.
AI tools. So I feel that in some compliance sectors, that is probably valid, right? That you can get this little plugin. Here's, it'll walk you through all the steps, and you just fill out basically an Excel spreadsheet with all of the data that you need. And a tool of that nature will probably be okay in some scenarios. Do you think that due to the level of specificity of CMMC, that it kind of becomes like a next echelon of difficulty, especially when you talk about the audit process?
I think, yeah, I think you, like, if you're going to get ISO compliant or SOX compliant, you're still gonna have, like, this proof piece that you have to do. You still have to show that you're doing it to someone. So you
Gotcha.
have these tools that can make your life easier, and we leverage those tools, but
Yeah.
there's still the setup configuration of it, and there's manual work to be done. We automate as much of it as possible, but there's still work to be done to get there. And then, I think we've talked about this before. We try in our shared responsibility matrix to either have 80/20 or 85/15, us being the 80 and 85 in it, responsibility trade off with the organization. So we're responsible for that 80 or 85%. So when the auditors here and they ask a question about something in that bucket, we're directly answering it. The other stuff that's on the client side, that 20 to 15%, it's not you're on your own. It's we help you understand what it is, coach you through what it's going to look like, and then you're responsible for making sure that it happens,
Yeah,
and we're
like we
responsible for
can't be
telling
there
you to
every
do it.
day to make sure that you log people in when they walk into the building, right? Like
Yeah, that's
that's
a
on you to make sure that people are doing that. But if you show us a booklet and it has two sign-ins for the last 3 months, like that is on you. That was your responsibility to make that happen. Like we can't, unless you want to pay us to have someone sit at the front door.
Yeah. I think that's a good example. It's like you have to have a visitor sign in log.
Hmm.
So we might tell you, hey, have a piece of paper up there that people sign in on, have somebody responsible for scanning that in, and then
Hmm.
let's save it to this location
Hmm.
on the network or in SharePoint. And then when an auditor comes in, we can pull these up. Let's save it with the date of
Hmm.
that week or the, however we're doing it. And then we could show it to the auditor and we'll have it all in this format. And then you guys have to go and make sure you do it. That would be an example of how we walk through it. Or another, you have to do personnel screening. So here's some examples. Reach out to these companies, do background checks, store it in with your HR system. And when an auditor comes in, have somebody available to come down to the audit. And when they ask for Joshua Rabe's background check, you need to be able to pull it up and show it. They're going to ask for a random person, and we'll kind of coach through what it looks like, but it would be on them to actually go do it and put it in there. We're not going to log into you don't want us in your HR application. We're not an HR company, but you
Yeah,
get what I'm
we
saying.
don't. I was in HR for a minute. It is some pretty fun data, but you also feel so burdened by some of the things that you see sometimes, and
Yeah.
you're like, I can't talk to anyone about this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think that's a really good high level overview for, both selecting who you want to work with and then understanding what skills are required of them in going through the process.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? What is the next part of this
Man, I think we
process?
we kind of crushed into that thing and really kind of covered it.
That's kind of the whole shtick there is just finding help that has the appropriate certifications to get you to the finish line and then
Mhm.
doing your due diligence along the way of not just, if it looks too good to be true, this is the adage, regardless of the social media that you're on or anytime that you see an advertisement for something. But like if it looks too good to be true, somebody's selling you a fancy something on eBay and the price is 10% of what you think it should be, there's probably something in the fine print or
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
not
if
gonna get you there.
and maybe just walking through what our process is in this is
Yeah.
we will set up like a virtual enclaves are really popular because I
Mhm.
don't need to get my whole enterprise set up.
Yep.
I can now abstract myself from the physical requirements because I don't have any physical on-premise CUI. So I'm just doing everything virtually. That, of course, means you can't actually have like a printed piece of paper with on it or have a USB drive or anything physically in your building. But it works for a lot of companies to do a virtual enclave. And what I've seen is an organization look for help setting that up. So, can you help me set this virtual enclave up? And it has to be set up in a certain way, in a certain Microsoft tenant. You have to jump through some hoops, and then you can build your FedRAMP authorized enclave. But what happens when you have an issue in that enclave and you need work done on a machine? Is your local IT doing it? If they're making those changes, they better be documenting it. There better be a change approval process. If your third party IT company is now brought in and they're doing it, I guarantee none of that's happening. What we do is we take it every step of the way. We're the IT company for the enclave, and when changes happen, we make sure they follow our change management process. When there's vulnerabilities, we make sure we're scanning, documenting those scans, and then implementing them within a time frame that matches your SSP. And then we're overseeing it on a recurring basis. We're having those change approval board meetings with your team, and then we're coaching you through what it'll take to pass an audit, and not just like from now to when the audit happens, but also over those next 3 years. You have to
Yeah.
keep doing those. It's not just do it until you get the audit and then stop doing it. Otherwise, you're going to run into a pretty rude awakening when you have to get recertified, or if you get whistle blown on you for not following it. So at any rate, that's kind of our process without giving too much away. But
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't know. We can pat ourselves on the back. We just kind of launched some new products in this area or packages. I don't know what you want to label them as, but basically, you can hire Stratus as completely third party, meaning we'll set you up. You can keep your on-site IT or third party IT, or I don't know, however your current MSP situation is set up, and we can come, like you said, build a digital enclave for you for the 20% of your team that is touching this type of data, and then help you through the audit, and then be very far in the back support for making sure things stay up and patched and whatnot. But then we also just married in with our MSP support to provide basically full-time anything that you need within that bubble for the year in between after the audit happens. So not only get you CMMC compliant, and then, as issues pop up, continue to support just like any other help desk would, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Um,
Reach
okay.
out to us if you want more info on it.
Yeah, you just pop it in the chat. No, actually though, if that is something that you're looking for, full support for CMMC, you can email us at cmmc@stratusservices.com. Or you can check out our packages. I am diligently working on the webpage and it's almost done, and there will be more information soon, but probably give it, I don't know, by the time this airs, it will probably be live.
Yeah.
So anything else that you want to say on that topic of like offered services that might be, I guess, outside the norm of what other companies might be doing?
I don't think so. I think just, if you don't know, jump on a call with a company like ours, and they should be able to talk you through it and educate you on what you need. It is a confusing landscape. We
Mhm.
do it for a living. Uh, Call us. We're happy to just talk about it, walk you through it, just as part
Yeah.
of an introductory call. So yeah,
Josh is actually very nice on these calls. He is a salesperson and he will sell you his shoes on his feet. But no, I'm kidding. There,
I like
it's
I
very
like
fun to
I like
watch.
my shoes. I'm not selling them.
You like your shoe? It's very fun to watch Joshua and Joel have interactions with clients, potential clients, or even when we do like fun webinars, because people throw random questions and they are really good at answering random questions, and it makes me excited whenever I get to experience it. So,
We try to have fun.
yeah, I mean, if you're not having fun, what's the point, right?
Exactly.
Anything else that you would like to say on the topic before we sign off? Keep it short and
No,
sweet
what
today.
I say we call it and let's go enjoy the weekend.
Yeah. Well, happy Friday to anyone who is actually watching this on a Friday. If you do have questions or concerns about CMMC issues, or you'd like us to do a free consultation, you can give us an email at cmmc@stratusservices.com.
Stratus-services.
Oh, yeah, Stratus-services, Stratus-services. Or you can go find us on the web and once again find more information about what we have to offer. Other than that, it's good to see you on a Friday, Josh.
You too, man. Have a good one.
See ya. Bye.